In fact, let me look at that while we're at it. 6, so, see, one of the things with interceptions, now it goes according to the math. That as far north as you go from the equator, the way you're going to get the most equal chart is right on the equator. They would be pretty much the same degrees all the way around. But if you start moving north or south of the equator, then you're going to start getting interceptions in the chart. Now, it's how the math is done and worked out. And the difference between, you'll find if you use Koch's or fastidious houses, let's say you have an interception here with fastidious, Koch's is going to move it to the next houses. You will not have the same interceptions with those two house systems. So it moves it to another house. Now, one of the things, there's several ways you look at the interception, but let's just say, let's take that chart you had without, now she's got one here, we won't mention any names.
This person has, those are 6, this one's got the nodes intercepted.
Okay, now but this person has Taurus intercepted up here, and we got Mars and Taurus. Notice put the little heart there, because Mars people are lovable.
That's true.
And we got Neptune, Jupiter, Moon, Venus, and Sun. So we've got 5 planets here and 1 there, so 6 out of the 10 planets are intercepted. Now, when you have interceptions, one of the things that happens is where you struggle the most. Also, now this person has 23.
Now, where you struggle the most in terms of the planets or the houses?
The planets will struggle.
Planets.
Okay, now this person has 23 Aries and 3 Gemini over here. So, everybody get some of these charts?
Can I have one too, Ed?
Okay, just let me see here. Can you get one? Okay, there's only one left, so I'm going to keep this while I'm working here. Okay, now for instance here, remember the sun moves roughly 1 degree per day. Let's see, now this person also has 2 Leo rising.
It's a good thing.
And 28 Leo down here. Now if you have interceptions anywhere, you're going to have the same sign on a pair of houses here somewhere. Okay, let's just say that the sun, for instance, it transits roughly 1 degree per day. So it's going to take the 30 degrees of this sign, 7 here, and 3 here. So it's roughly, here we get a house that's 40 degrees wide. Now here we have one that's 26 degrees. So one of the things you will find that when you have interceptions is, this is where you have a tendency to spend too much time. You waste time in these houses, and when you have the same sign across the house cuts like this, you skim over things too quickly. So again, this person would spend not enough time on themselves, too much time in the career areas. Now also, you can think of interceptions as kind of like black holes in the chart. It's where things disappear. See, for instance, the house cuts itself dictates the circumstances surrounding that house. So Taurus does not have anything to latch onto, so it wanders. And Scorpio, so interceptions have a tendency to wander. They don't have anything they can tie into. So the planets in those houses are wanderers. They're always searching, looking. They don't have anything that they can tie down to. Now remember, when by transit, when things are transiting through here, again, when I said a black hole, it's like they disappear. They just don't have anything to work with. So again, you have to put an extra effort. You have to make them work harder and put more and more energy into it.
I wanted to ask you something. I did a chart with someone, and actually you did the chart. And she was a Gemini. Her sun was intercepted. Okay? She was married to a Sag, course, that was intercepted. And it was like these two people just roaming around.
Yeah.
They had a kid, and the kid was in the middle, and these two people were just unbelievable.
Well, see, that's what here, this person has an intercepted sun, so it's like an inability to project their personality out.
Really?
Now, also, another thing I look, now, if you believe in reincarnation, now, if you don't get the benefit of this. But if you do believe in reincarnation, wherever you have your interceptions is where you did not complete your karmic lessons in your last lifetime. So here again is where you have to work the hardest this time, and where you get the least help. When you have interceptions, this is where you do not get help this time around. You have to go out and earn it.
By house or sign?
Both. I look at the house. Like, for instance, this person would be here.
But
Okay.
this person didn't do it in career and didn't do it in Taurus. Is this correct?
Right. So again, remember, there's financial signs involved.
Oh, okay.
Now, also, since it had so much here, here's again, if you have it in with a lot of action between the 4th and 10th, there's going to be a lot of decision-making of the time spent in the home and the time spent in the career on the job. This person is going to have to sacrifice one of the other places. To get what they want career-wise, they're going to sacrifice personally. If they put too much into the home, then the career suffers. So they're going to have to really work on a balance there. But look at where all of the planets, we got 5 planets down in here. So again, now what do? We have the planet Jupiter, which likes a lot of room anyway. The person likes to wander around and do everything. So again, but what is it? It's conjunct Neptune in here. So this is a person that's always roaming around in a daze. It's Neptune rules fog. And always think of this Jupiter as big fog. And what's big fog? No, bigamous. Probably a person that's going to marry 3 or 4 wives.
No, actually.
So, yeah, that's an Italian fog, a bigamous. Yes.
What if there are it's your birthday.
I knew it would sink in eventually.
It just takes us a minute.
Right.
But if there aren't any planets in the intercepted houses, but it's a significant house, say the ascendant, what if you have an intercepted sign in the 1st house and an intercepted sign in the 7th house, but there are no planets
No planets,
in
okay,
the
then,
intercepted houses?
okay, then all your planets are working. But again, it still would have, with even though there's no planets in any of the houses and there's an interception there, that's the area of your life you're going to struggle the most. And when planets transit through that intercepted sign, regardless of what house it is, then they're going to have, you only get maybe like 50 or 60% of the action from them. They don't do a complete job. No, it doesn't have to be negative.
No, I mean, if the transit doesn't get as much action, then if it's making a hard square, you're not going to feel it as much as
Right.
you would.
Yeah, it could be, but one thing that squares do for you, they're energy. They give you drive and determination. Now, for instance, people, like this is an opposition, but you need oppositions in your chart to get you internally started or initiated. People that have no oppositions in their chart can't do things on their own. They need help from other people. The oppositions is what gives you the ability to bring your talents and abilities from within yourself out into the open and get it going. And so here, even though we have an opposition, the person still will have a little trouble getting their act together.
But if you have a chart where everything in the chart is opposed to everything else, wouldn't that...
That could be a real loner. A person that wants to do everything by themselves probably wouldn't listen to anybody else. But remember, there's tug of wars. See, that's what opposition is, constant tug of wars. But if you take a tug of war, say you have 2 teams, if you take both of those teams and put on the same end of the rope, you can pull a mighty heavy load and do a lot of work. But it's getting it together.
You end up staying in the middle.
But,
You end up getting stuck in the middle.
well, if you mean the T-square in the chart,
No, just not being able to go this because...
that way, right, it's fluctuation, it's like back and forth.
Yeah.
And again, but you do need you need at least 1 or 2 oppositions in your chart to help you get your act together. And that's when, by transit, when you get oppositions in your chart, anytime you have it by transit, it's time to get your act together. It's really good. Now, what's happening also with the Taurus and Scorpio this year? 4 eclipses. 4 eclipses in these 2 signs. The first one, which we had last Sunday, is at 14 Taurus and Scorpio. And then the one coming up here is the 2850 Taurus. So it's almost 29, and remember that's opposition here too. So again, we have two more coming up at the end of the year. And remember this is almost 29 degrees. And what do we have at 29 degrees? What do we have at 20? Pleiades, right?
Pleiades.
So here again, we're going to have an eclipse. I don't know how many of you were on the other side, but we did the eclipse chart in there, and it took place in the financial houses. And was sitting up in the U.S., and it took place in the House of Rules, banks and insurance companies and savings and loans and so forth.
Goodbye.
So we may have even more failures than we've had before.
really.
But anyway, with these in here, again, now what, the Taurus for one thing rules your self-values, your self-worth. Okay, this is what this person would probably be going through, is his own self-values and self-worth and what he feels he's worth. With these two signs in
He
here.
was telling me that, I talked to him the day before the eclipse, and he felt it was a time he was going to start reaching out to more people and branching out, and new relationships and new beginnings in that area.
Well, anytime you have an eclipse, one thing you can say about eclipse is time for an overhaul. You have to overhaul something in your life. So what do? You get rid of all the dead wood and start fresh. It's like cleaning out your fireplace and get rid of all the ashes so you can go into the fires. So again, it's time. You can make fresh starts, but you have to get rid of something, because what an eclipse do, it will take something out. So why not get rid of the things you want to get? So, boom.
Does that eclipse affect your solstice points also?
Yes. Now the solstice point of this is going to be, let's see, we're going to come across, there's going to be two Leo, and then also 16 Leo. So you happen to have anything at these degrees, anything at 2 Leo or 16 Leo. So, but getting in there, but again, let's, getting back to the interceptions. Now, what I've had here, you look at the sheets, one side talks about it, and then talks about the interceptions in houses. Like whether they're angle houses or succeeding or Keaton. Now, this, for instance, are angle houses, because it's taking place at the 4th and 10th. So now this is where they're the strongest. Remember, your angle houses are your action houses. This is where the action is. When you want to look at your progress chart or even your natal chart, and when we get action in planets in the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th, that's where the action is. This is the enthusiasm, the energy. So again, here, when these are, like say, intercepted there, it's the, now there could be delays in getting started in angle houses. And again, this could be delays in getting started career-wise and personal life too. Late bloomer.
Suppose, okay, I have an intercepted house, 12 houses intercepted, okay, and that in Taurus. And I have Uranus and Saturn, and they're both retrograde. Is it?
Well, okay, retrograde's a little different, but they hold back. They tend to hold back, and if it's retrograde and intercepted, it may hold back even more. But now, again, you're going to take the, in consideration the signs involved in there too. Like say with this, remember these are financial houses, financial signs. But also, this is what you earn here, and this is where you give. Now, one thing is Scorpio is a sign that rules your desires. What are your desires? What do you want to accomplish? For instance, this person, having desires, and they got maybe a lot of desires with 5 planets here, but how does he put those desires to use? So he needs something. Now, one thing he is getting is Saturn and Pluto are transiting over these. So we got 2 heavy-duty planets, but again, they're planets that will take time and work on them. For one thing, that Saturn is a timer in the chart. There's 2 timers, the Moon, short-range timer, Saturn is a long-range timer. But also Saturn is a planet that gives you what you deserve, good, bad, or otherwise. So that's what you might say this person here is getting is a lot of activity. But again, looking into it, now looking at, let's take a look at these 5 planets. Okay, one is the Sun. Here is the Eagle. It's hold back, it's holding back. It's the inability to put your personality or put yourself to get things going or putting things to use that way. So remember, the sun is your ego. It's your personality. It's what you are. And then wherever the sun is in the chart is where you shine. So again, with it intercepted there, the person may have the inability to shine the way they want to. To put, again, to get things into motion there. So it's, to again, like the last statement here, to achieve your full expression. So it might be the inability to get itself out. Now remember, it doesn't have to be this way. Once you learn that this is kind of a weak spot, then you're going to work on doing something about it, bring it about. Now, also, since this is 23 here, if this progresses about 1 degree per year, remember at the age 7, this person had an opportunity to eliminate a lot of this. Remember, that's about the time you start going to school and getting educated. But there could have been some major change around the person at that time. Or do you know this person?
Yeah, I don't know about that, though.
Did he make a major move or a change in the environment or something at that time?
I don't know. I only
You might
know
check and find
what
out.
he's doing right now.
So with that now, again, the moon, which is also intercepted here, remember, this is the emotional, the personal side. So again, we have the sun and the moon both, the two personal planets. Again, with the sun, always look at the sun as what you show on the outside, and the moon is what's on the inside. So again, here's a person that may have the inability to express their really true feelings or emotions about things. They may say something to somebody, but does the person understand? So again, the inability to express as much as they should.
Why does he have the opportunity to change in 7 years? Because we're ending up one sign and going into another?
Yeah, because then Scorpio will come onto this house cusp.
Okay, all right,
So then it has something to tie down to.
thank you.
Then it's the ability to, but now that's your progress chart. Now again, whether he did something about it or not,
It's
that's up to him. So,
But then at 14 and at 21, you have...
well, that's your Saturn. That's your Saturn things that are doing that, which we'll get into a little later here. But like say the feelings or emotions and the relationships. Now remember, this is all in the house of the home. That also the 4th house is your foundations. It's how you build foundations. And so how you get things started. And well, what happens to the 4th house, another thing you want to remember, the 4th house is your house of weather. And by that, I mean, how would you handle adverse conditions in your life? Okay, with all of these planets intercepted, this person may have more problems with adverse conditions or not knowing how to handle them. So again, I would say that, first thing this person should do is become an astrologer. And so they can understand.
First
No,
thing he did was come to me.
So, looking at, now we also have Venus. Now remember, the one thing, the moon is how you feel, the Venus is how you express yourself, how you express yourself to other people. So again, it's another planet as far as your love and love relationships. But now notice the little quotes in here, out of reach. So again, the person may feel that that love is out of reach. It just can't quite find what they're looking for, or maybe say being not completely fulfilled.
Now then, once one of these planets progresses out of that,
Well, it gives them the opportunity to do it. Now, whether it's up to them whether they do anything about it. That's what progress chart, your progress chart, or any kind of progressions or opportunities, you still have to do something about it. I mean, the opportunities are there for you to do it, whether you do it or not. Now, at age 7, it would be probably hard for a person to understand that these things are there, what they mean. Mm-hmm. Unless, that's why I was thinking, maybe unless they made a major change. Now, going to school would be a major change. But also maybe a move. They may have moved from one area to another. And by going into a new area, they could have new friendships, new associations, things like this. I had something similar in my chart, and my parents were divorced when I was 7. And it was a complete change. Started living with relatives. I lived with relatives for years. And it was really a major change in my life. not one I was particularly fond of, but
Is it very, is it effective also? Did you get hurt or?
well, at that age, it's hard to understand. Naturally, I think that somebody would rather live with their parents.
Did
But
you
they're
blame
in-
mother or father? Because
No.
my daughter, we didn't blame anybody. We didn't hate a mother or father.
No, in fact, and they were very good about both of them doing things with us and talking to us and being active, so it wasn't any way that we were neglected by one and the other. So, I mean, they kind of stayed friendly, which I think was as good as far as we were concerned. Yeah, now, like I say, the Venus is also in difficulties in relation to love relationships, getting into it. Now, Jupiter, remember Jupiter is, for one thing, is a planet of growth and expansion. It expands. And what is Jupiter? It's a feeling of freedom. You want freedom. Okay, with this intercepted here, the person may feel that they're not as free as they would like to be, especially in the home. So again, if they get a spouse or a partner in there that starts dictating to them or nagging or is jealous, it could really be a real problem. So, but anyway, it's the inability to grow and expand as much as you should. Now remember one thing, that Jupiter also is one of the communication planets. It's a higher thoughts. It's a higher thinking. So again, here again is maybe the inability to talk or say what you feel. Now also, the next one there is Neptune. And again, like I say, is it saying clouded there for it. But also it's the difficulty in making your dreams come true. Now, Neptune, for one thing, if you look in your natal chart, it's the antenna in the chart. It's where you will receive, for one thing. It's like a little TV antenna that draws the signals. So what this person may do, again, is just when they're at home meditating might be the best way to do it. But now, with that intercepted, would they understand? And remember, Neptune is dreams, whether it's dreaming at night or daydreaming. So again, the person may have dreams and not understand what they mean. And the dreams is one thing that can be very predictable. It's the thing that's mentioned in the Bible the most about prediction. So how you would receive. So again, as you're looking into these, all of the different planets now, looking at what the planets mean, and then looking what the signs mean, and since we have, like I say, the two financial planets, then this person may have a lot of problems adjusting to their financial position or condition of where they are. Probably how much are paid, or again, if they feel that too much of it goes in here, and this could be a person who all of a sudden may fall in love with somebody, and this person has about 6 kids already, ready-made family, and then run into a sudden expense. How would they handle that? Or run into, put them to work. So, but also relating to the home problems, relating to the problems that they would have at home if there are problems. Because what do you have? You have Neptune there, which is a dreamer, a person who would sit there and fantasize about what they would want and not follow through with it. And then Scorpio also, like say, is a regeneration. So again, this person may have problems ending things and starting new things at the proper time or when they should. Now again, when I said the eclipse is starting up here, it's going to be a time to end and begin. But will the person recognize it? Will they be able to see it when they should? So again, working with it. Now if we had the signs like Leo and Libra here, here again, it's Libra, since it's partnerships, a person may have trouble, if these are all interception Libra, in relating to the partnership and how much it should give and how much it should take. But, with it down in here, and also, now this just may, since like I say, this is a foundation, it's a structure building. So again, with the 4th house, this is how you lay your foundations. Remember, you have to build your foundations before you build your castles. And if you build a castle with no foundation, then the first wet weather that comes along, goodbye castle. So the person has to learn to build foundations, but since all of this is interception, do they? So this is where they have to learn to, put that into effect, all of these planets.
But
in
can
here.
they build foundations with all that interstellar, with a lot of hard work and effort today?
With a lot of hard work and taking the time and understanding, what's going on. And now what they should do, I don't know if they hidden. Because they didn't have much in the 7th house. This is where you might seek out advice from other people. But they didn't have Aquarius over here. So, seeking out advice of other people. See, now another thing, this person only has one planet above the horizon. Everything else is down below. This is the introvert side. This is the extrovert. Now, this is what they call a bucket chart. Because all of the planets are down here, and this is the only one up here. And this is a handle in the bucket, the Mars. And what happens with Mars, it jumps the gun too quick. It rushes in, rushing in blindly, getting in there. Mars, here today and gone tomorrow. So this is a person with a hand to do it. The only thing, it is in Taurus, which is not the most comfortable place for it, but it slows it down somewhat. So again, they may lose enthusiasm. With this in Taurus in here, they may, if they can't do something right away, they may lose their enthusiasm. So they have to learn to keep charged up with it. Now, so now since we have these two planets, but what's transiting through here is Saturn and Pluto. So what do we got? We got 5, 6, 7 intercepted planets. So we got these two here. And Mars is also in Taurus today, so it's getting a kind of a Mars return. So I think Mars is just, on the hand here, but anyway, Mars is in, it's in Gemini today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Gemini. Now, Mars is in 25 Taurus. Remember, there's a fixed star right here, too.
Really?
Yeah, called losing your head. You lose your head over something. So this is now, when could a person that could lose her head over a love affair, job, work? This is a person that might be one of the most devastating things they can have is getting fired. Losing the job or something like that. But, so with the transits going through here, again, these transits through here are like only doing 50% of their job. So again, with anything to do with Saturn, that person has to work harder. In the same way with Pluto. Now Saturn, remember Saturn is a planet that's built structure. A structure builder to start with. So again, it's a timing, but the person's timing may be off. So remember the old father time there. So the time may be off, and again, like the old saying, like a dollar short and a day late. So this is where a person has to learn to plan ahead, think things out, weigh things out, and if they're stuck in any way, seek out advice of other people. And we got Jupiter going through this house up in here now too, which is the people you consult, 7th house. So the 7th house is the people who seek out for information. And what do we got? We got Jupiter, which is an information planet. So again, this is the year the person, if they're stumped with anything, should seek out advice. And that's going to be there until February of next year. So it's, and these are also retrograde right now too. Now one thing retrogrades do, the advantage of having retrogrades or planets going retrograde, they give you an opportunity to go back and collect on things you did not take advantage of the first time. So you can go back and retrace your steps. So this is what is here. Now so like say with the sun, now with these planets, now one thing we had Pluto too, is Pluto's a reorganizer. It revamps and reevaluates, but also Pluto, wherever you have Pluto in the chart and where it's transiting is where you can sabotage yourself.
Cannot?
Can or will. So, but also this is a situation where a person could sabotage 4th house matters. So this is where you have to be careful. And it's where you need to abandon something. Now it's also research. And since this is your roots or heritage, and with these retrograde, it's a good time for this person, if they want to research into their heritage or their roots, it's a good time to do it. But with the Neptune down there, they may find a few things they don't want to read. But it's a good time to go back. Now, what is your heritage, too? Even going back and researching yourself, your own talents and your abilities. What do you have the talent or ability to do? And what, for instance, this person that maybe at times did not take advantage of opportunities or talents, it's time to go back and do it again. If they want to, especially if they want to change jobs or anything like that, or careers. You still look like you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. What if this person really gets themselves all turned around with all that power down there in that fourth house? I would think that they could be just absolutely complete dynamo.
Oh, definitely.
I would think that they would be absolutely outstanding as far as anything to do with property and homes and things like that with the Venus and the
And also
sun
be
and-
completely impersonal.
Yeah.
Now, this is a person, I would not want this person to hold a mortgage on my house, because that's a person who would be completely impersonal and kick you out on a snowy day and not have any concern about where you're going. Because lack of emotion or feeling here. But fourth house matters. So anything to do with real estate or building, construction of homes, anything to do with the home environment, which again, Scorpios are great psychologists because it gives them the ability to dig into things.
Right.
And Scorpios are the type of people that they can go into a party, walk into the room, never turn their head, and yet see everything that's going on.
That coldness would make him a great psychiatrist.
Sure, because he wouldn't get personally involved.
So
yeah.
what would he have to do to get himself turned around?
Well, with these two planets there, first thing he has to motivate himself. I mean, it has to be something he wants, or desires, because it's Scorpio. And then with these two planets, remember these, with Saturn, what do you have to learn? What do you have to learn to do it? And then, again, following through with it, because the one thing with the eclipses going in there and the Saturn going in there, now's the time to do it. And you're going to miss a golden opportunity if he doesn't, because Saturn won't come back here again for 30 years.
Where is his natal Saturn?
This is the natal.
But where is his natal Saturn?
Oh, the fifth house,
Uh-huh.
which means he likes to get involved with older people until he's 40, and then he likes to get involved with young ones. Right? Yeah, always an age difference. It brings an age difference. So in relationships.
It's interesting. He's a multiple Scorpio, all intercepted, and he just met a multiple Scorpio that's got everything in the first house. And they were fascinated with each other.
Well, I would think if the other person had interceptions too, or just a lot of
No,
planets.
they're all in the first house, free and clear. And that's like 5 planets.
Well, see, people that have Scorpio in the first house are they always attract people. They're mysterious-like type of thing, and they tend to attract people quite a bit. Great place to have it, because again, you'll always be attracting people toward you. So with if the other person has a lot of Scorpio also, now the only problem, if they had a lot, both of them, then other people, that's one of the things that other people would not understand the relationship. They might say, what do you see in each other? That may be interesting to them, but other people will never understand it. And it may look like a dull relationship to others. But again, you might say, this person, especially with these eclipses, are hitting a turnaround point in their life. This is the time that this person, it could be a rebirth. But that's what Pluto does, and especially with eclipses, it's rebirth, like born again. So it, like I say, with both of those hitting in there.
And that 28 Taurus is practically on top of the Mars, and it's going to be opposing the eclipse in Taurus.
Hitting that, it's
Close,
really close to
yeah.
it, but it's taking place. Now, if you have an eclipse in the house, even if it's not touching anything, it would have some kind of influence on those houses. You will feel some kind of effect. So it's in the, like,
What is the eclipse now? On the
well, there's 4 of them this year, all taking place in Taurus and Scorpio. So whatever houses are involved by those signs, you're going to feel some kind of effect with it. It may not affect you directly if you don't have any planets on it directly. So you might say with this here, and let's see, now all of the, okay, Neptune's 5, Jupiter's 13, Moon's 16, Venus and the Sun both are 18. In fact, another thing that's hitting this Venus and Sun in this person's chart who's 18 degrees is the South Node is on it right now too. So again, the South Node is feeling inadequate. So here again is another thing with this person with 18 degrees there, just really may have, with it hitting on these two here, really may have a feeling that I can't do it or I'm not capable. Again, self-defeatist. So this is again where this person has to be motivated. Person maybe should get kicked out in the cold, rainy days, so they do have to do something. Now, it may be very hard while that South Node is at 18. Now, when it gets down to 17 again, then it's away from this. It may be, but also with the South Node of Venus, the person needs a lot of understanding, a lot of love. Because wherever the South Node is where your cup needs to be filled. It's on these two
What
planets.
South Node is on those?
The transiting South Node, where it's transiting today.
Okay.
And it will be there at least another month.
I was going to ask you how fast. Okay.
So the nodes move very slow. It takes it about 18 to 19 months to go through a sign. So it spends about 6 weeks in each degree. So as it goes through, the node has a 19-year cycle going around. So, yeah, that's the North Node. That's the South Node. So, yeah, the North Node, again, always think of, too, is the North Node is like another Jupiter. South Node is another Saturn. So you could almost say it's the same thing as Saturn going across these two planets.
Would you read them like Saturn and like Jupiter?
Same influences.
Did you say
Now the-
6 weeks in each degree?
Yeah, that's a good node. And the Jupiter, now for instance here, remember the nodes move backwards. Also the nodes are emotions, finance, and they make you deal with people. So what this person has to personally do is deal with people right now. That South Node going across there. But it's a situation where the person has to learn to give rather than take.
Did you say 6
That's the
degrees
South
on
Node?
each degree? 6
6 weeks
in
in
each,
each-
for
right.
each degree it moves?
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
give out on the South Node.
What?
You give out on the South Node
Oh, South Node is what? It's where you have to give.
to give out.
Yeah, where you have to give out. But see, also, since this person has intercepted, these are intercepted in here, it's like they have to give, but they don't know how to go about doing it. They may have inability to express themselves in the Venus intercepted.
And what did you say, the North Node you receive?
Is where you receive, right? Think of them like funnels. The North Node is where things funnel into your life. The South Node is where they funnel out. So, and
That's a lucky one.
yeah, and the North Node is lucky. It's like another Jupiter. It's abundance and growth. So wherever you have the node, for instance, this person has nodes in the,
What if it's retrograde?
well, they're always retrograde.
Oh.
What's the difference between the mean and the true nodes?
Okay, the mean nodes are not always retrograde. They're like the planets. They go forward and reverse, forward and reverse. And it goes according to the elliptics of it. One thing you can say is a node. It's like the shadow that the moon casts on the earth. It's the mean nodes are always retrograde. It's just how you calculate them. Now, most of the computer here does the true nodes. And I'm more of a believer in the true nodes because if we use tropical planets and they go forward at times and then retrograde, then why would you use a node like the mean node, which is always retrograde, which is a heliocentric node? So why use tropical planets and heliocentric node? I just feel like it's mixing oil and water. But they're never that far apart. The most are apart, and quite often they're the same degree, but the most they're ever apart is 1.5 degrees, because they're never a lot. But the nodes are, true nodes, half the time they're retrograde and half the time they're forward.
The true nodes or the mean nodes?
The true nodes. About half the time they're retrograde and half the time they're moving forward.
Yeah, so
Now remember, the nodes work a little different too. Is when they come into here, they come in at 29 degrees and go down to 0.
It's in Taurus right now.
So the nodes, if you're not prepared for them going through your chart, they're like sneak thieves. They will sneak in and take things away from you. So they hit
I have
the...
5 degrees.
Okay, 5, but now, see, that, they're at 18 now, it's going to be quite a while before they come down and hit that. You know, because see, they're going down, so see, you got like 13 degrees, so it's going to be quite a while before they'll come down and hit that. So it's like 13, a little over 13 months.
So now the nodes is reflected in the ephemeras. Are those the main nodes or the true nodes?
Well, it depends on which ephemeris you use. A lot of ephemeris will list both, like the American ephemeris. Has the big red cover on it, they list both of them. Raphael's, I think, just uses the mean notes, and most of them do. But American ephemeris is usually 2 nodes, but also they do list both of them. So it's like they're never really that far apart, so it depends on the ephemeris and how they do it. Actually, you can look in there. If you look in there and you see some retrogrades and some not, then you know it's a true node. If they never list anything, then they're using the mean nodes. But the nodes are getting in there, so besides here, see, besides these 2 planets, we got the south node going through here too. So besides this person having the 5 planets in here, we got action in the chart too. Now, I would say this is the time for this person to really build a structure, to get things going, but with the interceptions in here, and especially with the south node on these 2 now, the next month might really be hard for them. They have to really put an extra effort, a concerted effort to what they're doing. But this is here, now remember this in the angle houses too. Again, remember it said these are the action houses. You know, if you're looking over toward the intercept in the angle houses, here again, this is whether the strongest, but if it's intercepted here, isn't the strongest. It should be, because this is where we have the most planets and where we have the concentration of things, but being intercepted, it may not be the strongest for this particular person. So again, getting in there, and it's just like, since these are the houses that are starting, the action houses, again, delays. Remember, Saturn also rules delays or restrictions, so delays in getting things started. Getting things started the way they should. So,
it's a good thing he's a Scorpio. It's a good thing he's a Scorpio.
Yeah, because the Scorpio's, you know, the determination.
Yeah.
But also, with the Scorpio, this is the person who would suffer in silence, too.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going through a lot of problems, they wouldn't let you know it.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of holding back with it.
And the Leo ascendant?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, like say the Leo rising in here, now this is a person who likes to be center stage, you might say.
Oh, doesn't
But
he?
remember, Scorpios can be very shy. Sometimes they're very shy people.
Yeah.
So they have the shyness and things around it. So getting in here, but also with the Leo rising, would like to be out front.
Uh-huh.
And since this is early degrees, it's really heavy concentration of Leo.
What was your comment about intercepted signs with no houses in it? I mean,
With no
intercepted
planets?
houses. Yeah.
Okay, then it's like a mousetrap waiting to spring on you. No planets in there. So every time a planet transits through that, wham, it springs shut. And one of the things by not having, if you have intercepted planets and not having a planets in there, then you have no experience that you have learned on from that. So then when something does transit through there, it may be a little more devastating. I would say one thing, this person sure should have a lot of experience with intercepted signs. So in a way, you should have at least, if you have interceptions in your chart, you should have at least one planet in them. I've got a couple interceptions and I'll tell you, and I've done charts. You know, computers running charts off for other people, and by far the most common interception, and I would say that about 40 to 50% of all of the interceptions you will run across is a third and the ninth interception. And with the signs of Leo and Aquarius, that is by far the most common interception I've found, and I mean, not only by houses, but by signs. And what do we have here? Education. And by having these signs, these were, if you really want to go back to the past life things, the people who had the ability to take charge and to help other people change their lives and make things better, and they didn't do it. Of course, now it's easier today. You know, you used to get thrown in prison and burned at stake and a few things like that for doing it. See, today you can get up and lead people to get things charged.
Is that only
Years
true
ago,
with the Leo Aquarius?
no, in these
On the
houses.
third.
Yeah,
Only
third,
with those
right. See, it
houses.
was how to teach people, or how to teach them to better their lives, or to take charge. Because again, the third house, where you can communicate, said, follow me. And I just find that by far the most. And the second most common is Virgo and Pisces.
On those houses?
That, and then the next house that was most common was the fourth and 10th.
And
Yeah,
what
you
was
might say
that?
was second.
On the 4th, 3rd, and 9th.
The what?
What was that lesson that wasn't learned
Oh,
in
the
the last?
fourth and the 10th were the second most common. And the second most common signs was Virgo and Pisces.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but for this one, obviously, you can look at them and tell whatever the lesson was or whatever they didn't do
What they should
before.
be doing.
Right.
See, and by the
What does that
interception show what you should be doing, and also the 8th house. This is what you owe the world. So the 8th house is your karma, house of karma, and it's what you came in the world to do.
So if you had an
That's
interception
Saturn,
in there,
What?
And then, then you would have trouble handling your karma or going out doing the thing that you should be doing. And then again, you may carry, if it's in here, you may carry a heavy karma with you, if you're believing in karma.
how would that
Wow.
affect the second then?
Second,
Well,
this is
because
your
it-
talent. So having the talent to do it. And that also, remember, this is values and self-worth. You may not feel you're capable. You may feel, I'm not worthy of doing this, when really you are.
Well,
See, the biggest problems, the worst things in this world, and the worst thing that's ever been invented in this world is the words can't and won't. Because people, I can't do that, I'm not capable, I'm not qualified, and they don't go out and do it.
The management has asked us to evacuate.
Okay?
what did he say?
We're just getting started, Robert.
Has something to do with career?
No.
I feel so